I think I will start. Hello, everyone. Happy to see all of you and welcome back to today's session organized by VODAN Africa and Asia. My name is Putu Hadi, and now I will be the host for today's meeting. And our focus today in our discussion is VODAN Africa and Asia's update, as always, from access control from CEDAR and also from a very special journal update. As always, try to keep our mic muted during presentation to prevent background noises. If you have any questions while the presentation is going on, please type them into the chat box or you can raise your hand. So I will now hand over to Professor Miriam to lead the session. Professor Miriam, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Putu. Thank you. And it's good to have you back after that horrible storm. Let's first welcome some new members of VODAN. First of all, Dr. Reginald, would you like to introduce your new colleague, Jane?
Yes, I would like to welcome Jane Wadome. She's from the Beacon of Hope Medical Center, and she'll be working with us in the CEDAR localization and helping us with the VODAN Africa project we're working on now. So welcome, Jane.
Jane, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to join you today, and I look forward to learning more and hearing more about this project and looking forward to the partnership. Thank you very much.
We're looking forward to it too, Jane. And yesterday when you attended the technical meeting, first of all, you said some very nice words about your motivation. And secondly, yes, you were remarkably resilient to stay through that very technical meeting.
Yes. I thought I stayed on to sort of like understand because it was my first time. Yeah,
it was good to have you, and thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Also welcome to the Mekelle team, Dr. Araya, Getu, and Samson, and Mahalet, who are all back. Dr. Araya, you want to say something, just as greeting?
Yeah, hello everyone, and good afternoon. Yeah, we are back here in Addis, and hopefully we will attend next week as well. So it's always a pleasure to attend VODAN sessions. Thank you.
We always miss you when you are not there, Araya. Good to have you and the team back. So today will be, well, it is always nice, and today will be also a nice meeting. We will look back at the two key processes, the engagement with all of the clinics and the firming up of that, the technical preparatory process that Aliyah is coordinating, and then we also have a presentation by Dr. Sakinat on the analytics that she did over fair data, which really takes us a bit into the future. So we'll make sure that we have enough time for that latter part. I also think that it will be good to have a quick round of all of the locations, but we can do that as part of the preparatory work that Putu is doing in terms of firming up all the work at the national level in terms of engaging with the health facilities. Maybe we can start, Prof. Francesca, you're here.
Yes.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you, Prof. Hi.
Yeah, I don't know if it is for me today, but I thought I'd start. Do you want to give an update, first of all, on the outreach we've done to the coordinators of each of the participating countries?
Yes, thank you very much. Sorry, I am just concluding a physical meeting, so the participants are leaving the office. Yes, thank you, Professor Miriam, and it's good to have everyone here again today. For the round of the countries, I have been in touch with all the country coordinators with the letters to the hospitals. I know Dean Jamal for Somalia already contacted the health facilities, and I just had an email exchange with him on that, which I forwarded to you, Professor Miriam. And the same goes for Ethiopia. In Uganda especially, we have 18 clinics, and a point person, Dr. Semakula, has been appointed to coordinates the 18 hospitals in Uganda on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, actually is personally, which is the chair of the implementation network, is actually leading the Uganda contacts, the network with the hospitals now. For that of Ethiopia, we have the health facilities, the 20 of them in place. Nigeria, we had a meeting on Saturday on the way forward, and we also discussed the budget for the country. And I'm expecting that Dr. Raji, who will be coordinating for Nigeria, should join this meeting. As soon as he joins the meeting, I will introduce him, but he has already been added to our WhatsApp group and is ready to work with the team. Then on the side of Zimbabwe, I missed a call from Professor Bernard because I was in another meeting, but I also have sent in the budget and then the country letter and the information sheet. We have made an information sheet thanks to Obina and Professor Miriam, who reviewed for each of the countries. And we have tried as much as possible to capture the circumstances for each of the country. So I've sent that out as well through the coordinators to the different hospitals. And then for Tanzania, I was in touch with Dr. Jeremiah, even up to the early hours of today, up to around 1 a.m. I have also sent the information sheet, and I'll be responding to the remaining questions that he has. I went ahead to poll because we were also wondering, okay, we're doing all this outreach in the health facilities and in the country's MOH. How technically ready are we if they say, come and implement today? So I had to do a round of the data stewards. I just started with Uganda, and I've spoken to Gusite, Ernest, to Susan, Eric, and all the data stewards in Uganda, and they have confirmed to me that they are actually ready. They can actually deploy, and they can also train the data stewards for the hospitals. I'm going to be repeating the same round for Ethiopia, and then with Kenya, we are a little constrained because we have just Williams as of now, and Dr. Reginald, who is trying to also provide some technical assistance, but I'm also going to be meeting with Williams. So on the part of the implementation and the networking, I say we're making progress. I am yet to formally measure it against our project management plan, but personally I'm satisfied with the levels that we have reached. The fear initially was that of the technical deployment, but that has been at least partially settled for Ethiopia. For Uganda, we have about 6 data stewards who are ready, and I'm moving next to Ethiopia after this meeting to, I know Tigist is always ready, but we have Agichu and one other data steward who joined us at the middle of the project to see if they have been able to, if they have been fully brought up to speed. So that is the update from me, Professor Miriam. I can take questions perhaps after the, maybe later. And I think Dr. Abdullahi Ibrahim has made a post here. Okay, about Nigeria. Thank you.
That is excellent, Prof. Wonderful. I think on the possibility of linking technical expertise in relation to the template development, in the preparatory meeting that I had with Aliyah on the same, we would be proposing, Professor Francesca, that perhaps Putu would, if Putu is ready to do that, would join the Kenya team. And Aliyah is prepared to do the same for the Tanzania team. And we were wondering if we could ask Tigist to do the same for the Somalia team. What do you think? Is that a good proposal from your side, Prof. Francesca?
Yes, Prof. That is excellent. That is an excellent proposal. I have confidence in Tigist right from even the first phase of the project. and of course Putu also, and then with the team of Aliyah. And we can also look at, like, we have Nambobi also in Uganda, who can also join in the training, and there is Gusite, and of course Susan. So it's an excellent proposal.
Yes, we need one technical expert still for Liberia. So maybe one of the Uganda team.
Yes, of the Uganda team can do that, yes.
Yeah, so Putu and Tigist and, well, Aliyah, I know already. If you agree, then Putu, you would join the Kenya team, and Tigist would join the Somalia team. Is that okay for you, Putu?
Yes, yes, it's okay for me.
Tigist, are you okay with that as well?
Yeah, she says it is okay.
Good, excellent. So then that has firmed up. We'll get back to that, Professor Francesca, in a moment. I thought first we go to the Sakinat, please, you have a question.
Yes, I just want Professor Francisca to be clear about the implementation and the expertise that we are talking about here. And I don't know, we have not really attached anybody to the Nigerian team.
Somebody for the Nigeria team, is it not Abdullahi Kawu?
Yes, we actually assume that for Nigeria, we have two of you and Kawu. But then if you need more people for the technical implementation, that is absolutely fine. Because what I was originally proposing was to have an at-large training before Professor Miriam now came up with this idea of that you were going to lead the at-large training. Remember, I sent you a message very late last night. That was part of what I wanted to discuss. So if you need more extra hands technically, we can always find the Uganda team. We have a pool there to also pull from.
Professor Francisca, can you please just expatiate more on the technicality you are talking about?
Okay, original worry was that most of the data stewards were not really technically ready to implement this in the country, so actually train the country teams. So that was why I had to do a round of polling them and wanted to see where we had gaps. Whether there are some people that are not following, but I took time with the Uganda team this morning, and the general question was, if Aliyah is of this project today, is any of you happy to step in? And they were all excellent.
Yeah, what we can do, in fact, let's change the program a bit. Let's go directly first to Aliyah, because we were working in parallel, which is very good. So Aliyah has a proposal to get the expertise on speed of all of the data scientists. So let me first go to Aliyah to really round off this topic. Dr. Sakina, that will clarify things for you too. So Aliyah, over to you.
So hi everyone. Yes, let me share my screen. So we have discussed it with Professor Miriam that giving a set of sessions specifically for data stewards will be very helpful, since we are expanding and there are a lot of facilities are joining, and we have to be ready for this one. So we have scheduled the training of data stewards, which will include 8 weeks of training on technical aspect, which includes like from the very beginning, including the terminology or in CEDAR platform, and until the creation entire the template, vocabularies, and like uploading vocabularies to bioportal, and then finalizing templates with the controlled vocabularies. So this is the initial plan for, this is the plan for the training of data stewards, which includes the first, I mentioned, introduction to CEDAR, terminology and templates creation, and then we'll go to the So we'll practice with the template creation in CEDAR platform, and then work with the control terms that already exist in BioPortal. So make sure that each data steward understands how to work with controller terms and how to find the most appropriate term for the template. So then we'll go to with the outpatient record, and then identify the controlled vocabularies for each implementation country, and then create those terms in Excel sheet, convert to SCOS format, and work with those turtle formats file and upload them to BioPortal. And then after we'll get that terms in BioPortal, we'll finalize the templates with the controlled vocabularies that we will create during the training. And after that, after finalizing the outpatient records, we'll go to the maternal and child health templates, which we think that it will not take that much, like 6 weeks. So templates on maternal and child health will probably take 2 weeks, and the first one will be the creation of templates, and the second week will be creation of controlled vocabulary, and then a finalization of these templates. So this is the outline for this training. I would like to ask, data stewards who want to participate in this training. I'll send this link to the chat now. So fill in this form. We'll make sure we'll see who the list of data stewards per country, and yeah, please fill in this form if you would like to participate in this training. And I would like to also present discuss the domain name for the technical development that we also discussed in preliminary meeting today. For the technical development, we would like to take vodana.in domain name. So since we are going to work on vocabulary creation and to be able to use this one for the controller terms in BioPortal. So this is basically it from my side. I'll send the link to chat right now. And please fill in the form if you'd like to join this training. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alia. Any questions? Quite a bit of information. So everybody who is a data steward should sign up on this link that Alia will put in the communication. It's an 8 weeks step plan. Esther is asking what the basic requirements are. So I'm looking at Alia and Professor Francesca. I think that it's pretty interdisciplinary. So if you are disciplined and interested, I think it's possible to carry it out. But for sure, you want to have the quotum of data stewards that are capable of producing the templates and the vocabulary. Everybody who's a data steward should be to the level of this training that Alia has prepared. Anybody else who is interested, in my view, can try if you have the discipline. What is your view on this, Professor Francesca?
Yes, Prof. I like to use Professor Mariam from Tunisia as an example. I mean, she's a medical doctor. She is not trained as a computer scientist, but she's creating templates, and she was actually the first among us to use the CEDAR. Right before we actually even decided to go for CEDAR, she had gone for CEDAR and was able to create templates. And even when we had a DSW that was not so easy to navigate, she was actually able to use DSW. So we'll say yes, computer science is required, but not a strict requirement. It's recommended, but for people who can actually cope, why not?
Good. So that is an answer to that question. Sakinat, you have a point there.
Yes, Professor. I think this Alia's initiative, I think, is a good initiative, and more or less like giving second chances to our data stewards that were not very consistent with the CEDAR meeting. That this could be another chance to train and probably bridge the knowledge gap that is lacking behind. So it's just an encouragement that we all should try and attend this training. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sakinat. And for sure, the data stewards. So, and it's really, really important that the data stewards attend, do the assignments, and that at the end of that, we have the technical team that we need. Of course, the trainers in the group should definitely provide the leadership, and then the data stewards to have the knowledge to support the 85 clinics that we are now bringing into the project. So it's a really big responsibility. And I second you, Dr. Sakinat, that all of us coordinators need to be really vigilant that this phase is carried out appropriately, because we need everybody on board. So thank you for that. And then Professor Francesca, you noticed that Alia almost in passing suggests that we use, is an important decision, vodana.in as kind of the technical core for any URL to relate to the vocabulary, etc., that we create. That means that we would need to take it as our own. And after this meeting, if we decide to do so, we will secure that name. That name is available. Alia checked it. What is your view on that?
That is okay. Vodana Africa. I mean, it's our name.
Vodana.in.
Yes, .in. Why the IN, Alia, if I may ask?
It's Vodana. Yeah, it's Vodana because it can relate to Africa.
Yes, I know the .in. No, it's the extension. Yes, what's the .in? The domain. Yes, I know. Why? Is there anything like is there any reason for the choice of .in?
It could be like implementation network in the FAIR context. And also there needs to be a one that is available, and that one was available. And we looked at something that was short.
Easy one, yeah.
Easy one. Easy. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So is there any objection from anyone? So then we go with that, Alia. If there are no more questions on the training, and if everybody can make sure to fill out that short questionnaire of Alia, then let's go to the presentation of Putu with a lot of thanks to Alia. Thank you for preparing this, Alia. It's really, really great job. And then we go to Putu for the preparations of the interactions with the coordinators and health facilities in follow-up of the work that you, Professor Francesca, have initiated with the coordinators, country coordinators.
Sorry, Professor, I have a question.
Yes, Ina.
When are we likely to start this training?
It's starting on Friday. Alia, do you want to announce the time of the trainings?
Yes, sure. So the training is starting this Friday. So it's 12 p.m. Central European time. After I'll receive the the questionnaire that you fill it out. I'll contact you through WhatsApp or through email. So
right. Thanks.
1 hour in now, 12 to 1. The
Central
reference
Europe.
point here is a Central European time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Putu, over to you.
Yes, thanks, Professor Miriam. I will share my screen first. So, what I want to make a confirmation about the coordination, the coordinator first, because I think it's because I didn't attend for 2 weeks, so I don't know the coordinator of Ethiopia. Maybe miscommunication
Wondimo.
between, yeah,
That's
it's
Wondimo.
Wondimo. Yeah, and who is the
Nigeria is Sakinat.
Oh, sorry. And who's the health facilities?
Zimbabwe is Bernard. And Uganda is VC. And the others I will give you separately, Putu, because we can do that offline.
Yeah, okay. So basically, we want to consolidate, before we go to health facilities, we should consolidate several things, such as data processing agreement, and also health facilities consolidation, and also the communication status to ministry and health facilities. So I create the document about all of the document here. But first, we should make sure that the data processing agreement should be signed by the coordinator, and after that will be signed by the health facility. Then in coming weeks, I will coordinate by one the coordinator that makes sure that the data processing agreement should be signed first. So that basically what we will do in coming week. And then we, for the health facility consolidation, I will share the list of health facilities, and then we will communicate between the coordinator and me. We will communicate about health facilities types, so we can fill all of the health facilities type in this document. And after that, I will communicate with the coordinator about the communication status to ministry and health facilities. And I made several tool of VODAN interview. I will so basically I made this general document about what we need to do before we do some. I don't want to say it is interview, but discussion and communication with the health facility. So first, we have invitation letter. So this is the invitation letter. So all of this is the the template. So you can download it. Each coordinator or person that communicate with health facility should download this to create invitation letter to send it to health to give it to health facilities, to like create a connection between health facilities that provide information about what we do. And then the second one is information letter. It's about what is this project about. And right now, all of the coordinator can download this because I received this information letter. It more discussion better rather than an interview. So you can check this information letter, and you can if you want to adopt it to your version, so you can coordinate with me which one that you want to add or change. So please communicate with me for that. So that's why I made this monitoring form. So I just want to monitor one by one the information letter and also the other tools. And the consent form, it's about the health facility should sign this form, because consent form is about to inform what we do, and also what they will like their data, the data collection will be like safe, so they can trust us. So that's why we need consent form. And also same with the other tools, we should coordinate about this. So you can adopt, the coordinators can adopt the consent form, but please communicate with me what you want to add and what you want to remove. And then I have questionnaire topic list. So just like I said before, this is not the final version because this is only general. This is the general topic list. I mean, like I want to know from each coordinator what is like, because sometimes it's like a cultural difference between each country. So I want to know, is this questionnaire is like making a friendly question or not. So please adopt this question based on the context. So you can add some question that related to the needs of the context or each country, and also you can remove the question that is not necessary for the question, not for the question, for the topic list. So please coordinate with me for all of this tool, and then we can ready to be like communicate with the health facilities. So I will monitor this in coming weeks. So I hope all of the coordinator will help me to prepare this the session of communication and discussion with the health facilities. So do you want to add something, Professor Miriam?
Not at all. I think that was really brilliant. And sorry, I think you felt rushed by me, but I think the presentation was very clear. Professor Francesca, you wanted to say something.
Yes, Prof. I wanted to let Putu, or maybe to ask Putu again, because I know the countries already signed the data processing agreement earlier, if they're required to sign another one. I've received from Ethiopia, from Kenya, from Nigeria. Of course, KIU Uganda is signing on behalf of VODAN Africa with these countries. And Zimbabwe.
Yeah, it's only for the countries that haven't signed yet.
That haven't signed. Okay, so that's Tanzania and Tanzania and Liberia. Okay.
Yeah.
Clear.
Thank you. And then I am also wanting to put attention on the communication work that has been done. Obina, maybe, I don't know if you want to show the very nice communication tool that you made. You could also use the share screen for that. There are some things that are happening now which should probably be a collective decision. First is that there was a decision taken in the context of the preparation of the communication tools that we will always refer to ourselves if we go to the outside world as VODAN Africa or VODAN Africa and Asia, because that is basically, if you look at what is online now already, the reference that is taken, VODAN Africa or VODAN Africa and Asia. In the context of the technical work, Alia has introduced this central bit, vodana.in, as something that can always and without any kind of geographic specification refer back to the core of our technical development. Then Putu, if you can share on the letter, there is a subline that has been introduced to be clearer to the health facilities. And that line is called quality health. I want to get this right. Improving quality of healthcare through data ownership and localization. It was discussed and it came up in the meeting of Putu last Monday, and it was agreed there, but maybe we can take it through an agreement here. So Francesca and Obina, that would mean that we have like VODAN Africa and Asia, and then a subline, improving quality of healthcare through data ownership and localization, which we felt would, towards the health clinics, better introduce our objective. So this is kind of an identity question. So I think it's really important that we agree here if this is a good communication line. Is there any observation on this? Bernard, would this work in Zimbabwe for you?
Oh, yes, I've checked it. It seems it's working. It can work in Zimbabwe because there are no things that may affect the Zimbabwean community, the Zimbabwean environment, because it suits the Zimbabwean scenario.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you. Obina, I don't know if you can respond, if this works from your perspective as communications, person responsible for communications.
Yeah, good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
Okay, you're referring to the tagline, improving quality of healthcare through data ownership and localization.
I am.
Yeah, I think it is a good tagline for Modern Africa. Maybe I need to include it in the communication materials.
Yeah, perhaps, because then we'll be consistent. So then we have only 3. We have VODAN Africa, that refers to a particular project, or otherwise VODAN Africa and Asia. We have the tagline, improving quality of healthcare through data ownership and localization. And then we have the technical thing that everybody is going to be working with, vodana.in. So Professor Francesca, you are the coordinator. Can you sign off on this for us?
Yes, Prof, absolutely everything is in order. If there are documents that PUTU will want the country coordinators to sign or to send out again, you can send them to me, because I already sent out their respective budgets, the information sheet that was prepared by Obina and vetted by us for each country. And then of course the hospital introduction letter, which we gave the country coordinators the freedom to edit, put in the address, or if there are certain information that we don't have that are peculiar to those hospitals, those health facilities, that they can put them. And so I'm absolutely fine with it.
Good, then we will make good progress. And then, so country coordinators kindly provide to PUTU also the information of the person who is responsible for dealing with the health facilities, or the persons if there are more than one, so that PUTU can coordinate to them as soon as it's really being about facilitating the entry into the health facilities, which will of course be done at country level, but we are trying to support it, and that is the job that PUTU is doing. So are there any questions on this? Are all the country coordinators clear of the facilitating role that PUTU has to help the country coordinator to organize the facilitation to the health clinics? Is that all clear?
It's so clear and straightforward.
Good, okay. Then we are coming to the next item. Dr. Sakinat, the floor is now yours to inspire us with what is ahead of us. And that is really using quality data for better insights. And I'm so excited to give you the floor. Please, Prof, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. I want to share the screen.
You can share.
Okay, can I?
You have the sharing already.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, my network sometimes. Okay.
I will share it for you, Dr. Sakinat.
Okay, thank you.
I got your PPT.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to another VODAN meeting. This our work. We were trying to make machine learning pipeline fair, because we understand that it is not only data that we can apply the verification workflow through. Even our workflow, our scientific experiments, we can apply the verification process to it. So what we did in this our paper is that we built we tried to make our machine learning pipeline, which is a kind of a workflow, to make it fair. So making fair, that means that we make our input data fair, then all the execution of the machine learning phases were also made fair, and even our output data was made fair. And this was rightly advised by Eric. So next slide, please. Okay, so briefly, these are what we are going to be talking about: fair generic fair object generic workflow. So we actually changed, we extended one of the earlier papers on fair data workflow to object workflow, meaning that we can also make so many things fair: our experiment, our workflow, and our data, both input and output, even our cell executions too. We can make it fair. Then secondly, we'll just talk briefly about what is even machine learning pipeline. The pipeline was made fair using the provenance notebook and was written in R language. So the pipeline, that is the implementation, actually took place in the notebook. And what provenance notebook and the reproduce me ontology was preaching was actually interoperable and reusable. So this is equal to reproducibility, so that the experiment that we performed, we can reproduce it, and we can also make the experiment interoperable for every other person and also reusable. Then this our notebook, or our experiment that we performed, were actually saved in RDF format, and we downloaded it in a .tortu document, which is we can make available for other data analysts or data stewards to reproduce the experiments, and they can also modify the experiment. Then we also we reused a machine learning schema that is existing already, and for this particular data, we reinvented another data schema. Then we hosted this our workflow, our object, on the GitHub and also on our FDP for it to be findable and accessible. And the accessibility we gave was on a common 4.0 to every other person that wants to use the data and the codes that we used. And eventually, when the data was made fair, so we applied a clustering clustering analysis. We performed it on the data. So, and a clustering analysis is one of the machine learning analysis. They were actually divided into 3 tasks. We have the supervised, unsupervised, and the semi-supervised learning. Clustering analysis belongs to the unsupervised learning analysis. Next slide. So this is the generic workflow that we extended from just ordinary data to objects. So what we first did was that we first defined a semantic model for our object. That is our pipeline, starting from our data to output. Then we also developed the semantic model for our metadata, and we produced a RDF format, a RDF document for both the metadata and the object, and we host it on our FDP and also on our GitHub for this project. Next slide. So this is the machine learning pipeline. From data now, we have we retrieve the data from the data repository. So depending on the kind of data that you have, we have data in different formats. You can have it in text, you can have it in image, you can have it in audio, in whatever format that you have your data. One, you could extract some information from your data, transform it to a text, or then you can also select some features from your data or also pre-process your data. But this modeling, this is where we apply the machine learning model. It depends on what you want to do. But the machine learning model, we have them in different formats and they perform different tasks. You could apply a regression or a classification model or clustering, whatever you want to do. Then we also try to evaluate our model. We evaluate the model that we use based on the type of task they perform, because the way you evaluate a regression model is different from the way you evaluate a classification model or a clustering model. So we could also keep on fine-tuning the parameters of the model to give you optimal result. Then we deploy, just like we are going to do eventually in VODAN. We are going to deploy our analytics results. Next slide. Pucho. So this is the notebook that we implemented all our work. So for this notebook now, the language was written in R language. That's why you have the blue R at the right-hand top. Then the provenance book icon is there. So now the clustering method, that's a markdown cell, but the code actually is for that line 30. That is where we started the actual clustering code there. And these are all the states in Nigeria that we apply the code to. Then cluster plot is one of the results that we generated from the code. Next slide. Okay, so this is also the provenance notebook that we use to implement our pipeline. So we could see that from the provenance of all the executions of the various stages of the pipeline, we have the start time, we have the number of runs. How many times did you run it before you could actually arrive at an optimal solution? Then the execution time, and the source of our data, the source of our code. So the source wasn't written here because the code actually originated from us. So if another person takes on this notebook now and try to run the code now, so it's going to refer to us as the source, and then also the execution time and the start time, and also list if there's going to be any modification, which is part of the requirement for a verification process. Next slide. So if from the notebook now, we could see the provenance, you could toggle it, and just to see where the number of passes of the notes of the notebook from myself to probably Ezekiel, then to get you, then maybe to Professor Francisca. So, the passes, this notebook records the passes, and it also records our metadata. So we also downloaded the metadata as a RDF, in RDF format in a total document. Next slide. Okay, so this is where we download it as the RDF, all the codes and the provenances and our results. So they were made fair. Next slide. So here now, there was no provenance difference here because we were the one that originated the notebook, and we ran the code and our result. But if another person runs the code, so we will see from the original execution how much differences have been made on the modification time for the code and the result. All this will also be stored in the metadata of the notebook. Next slide, please. So this is the difference interface. if another person, when another person runs this code now, so it will show the original on the left-hand side and the new modification on the right-hand side. And this is the picture of a dendrogram from the hierarchical clustering that we apply to our program. Next slide. So now this is an example of the cell provenance that okay, our results from the execution, because the first line of code is the code where you have the combining hierarchical clustering and k-means. Then you have the provenance result, and also the result from the notebook. So all these are making our workflow or our object fair. Next slide. So this is the provenance representation, because I said initially that we reused an ontology. That is the reproduce me ontology. So from the reproduce me ontology, now we could see from the cell execution, because in this reproduce me, you have the entity, you have activity, and you also have agent. Agent are actually supervisor or experiment initiator. Then the entity are things that you created that we can make references to, why activities are actually actions that you take on your entity over a period of time. So if we look at the notebook now, we could see that from the notebook now, we have kernel. So we use R kernel for our for the execution, and the programming language was R language. We can also use a Python language, or we could use Java or any other language. So one of the limitations with this reproduce me ontology, or the problem that we encounter, was that though it wasn't specific for machine learning modeling or analysis, but we used it for reproducibility, because this ontology could make our workflow to be interoperable and also reusable. So next slide, please. And also this reproduce me, is an extension of two other existing ontology. So this is an example of the RDF that was generated for the code. Next slide. So, and the data set we used for this work was actually collected, it was obtained from all the states in Nigeria. The incidences, the cases, that is the confirmation, the discharge, and then some other economic data sets related to COVID-19 data set. And the data set is already fair because it's published in, is already published in Data and Brief Journal and CEDAR Journal, and is currently residing on a Mendeley repository. So I gave the link down so we can access the data there. We have so many data there, but we only pick one of them for analysis. And the data set is about the COVID-19 information about all of the states in Nigeria, that's 7 states. Next slide. Okay, so this is the schema that we designed for the data set. We could see that all the states in Nigeria. So if we look at our far left, we'll see all of the information about the COVID-19 cases, the confirmed, the admission cases, the death, the discharge, and the COVID-19 laboratories that were built for this COVID-19 specifically in all of the states in Nigeria. Then we also talk about budget, because the budget had already been signed in, but it was revised. Then we talked about the geopolitical zones and the longitude and latitude. Well, we didn't use that for the analysis, but we used it to draw out the map of Nigeria so that we could see the clustering clearly. Then we also talk about population and the health facilities in Nigeria and the total revenue for all of the states in Nigeria. Next slide. So this is the cake clustering now. Now applying one of the results that we obtained was that for all of states in Nigeria, all of the 37 states in Nigeria, that 3 clusters were the optimum, that we can only form 3 clusters based on the COVID-19 information cases. So if we are choosing 2 clusters, the result will have been suboptimal. Or if we are choosing more than 3 clusters, the result will have been suboptimal. So the optimal result for number of clusters to be formed was 3, according to the hierarchical clustering, the K-means clustering that we used. Next slide. So this is the dendrogram now, because we actually used an hybrid of the clustering method. We used the hierarchical clustering and the K-means clustering. So the K-means clustering was first used to create the number of clusters, while the hierarchical clustering was used to now put the clusters into micro clusters, so that we could say specifically what we could state specifically the similarities between the states and their COVID-19 cases. Because what this cluster does is that it puts homogeneous items into a cluster, and heterogeneous item in other clusters, and we also measure their distances. So from this cluster now, we could see that from the dendrogram now, we have 3 clusters, and all of the states of Nigeria were in the arms of the dendrogram, forming 3 clusters. Next slide. So these are the ultimate 3 clusters that were formed. If we look at our upper right now, we see that Lagos State was actually was alone in its own cluster. And the second cluster, we have 4 states there. For the first state, we have Ogun, Katsina, Kaduna, and Kano. And Kaduna is the center of the second cluster. And while for the third cluster, we have so many of the states that were clustered, though they have outliers like Bayelsa, like FCT, Ekiti, and all of that. But Abia State is the center of this cluster. So now we could begin to interpret, because these clusters now, they give insight into what could be happening. Lagos being alone in its own cluster, we could see from the result that Lagos have the highest number of confirmed cases, the highest number of deaths, the highest number of admissions. But what could have been the problem? Of course, Lagos is the center of excellence of trade in Nigeria, or probably Africa. So they have a lot of seaports, so the influx of people, and also they are highly populated. They have they are densely populated, because they have high number of people living in Lagos with a small landmass area. So that means that with the population now, that means that people live from the distances people could keep from each other is not so much. So maybe that's why we have Lagos in its own cluster. Then we look at the characteristics of the states in the second cluster. Lagos, Ogun State will also become the next to Lagos, because it's the only state that borders Lagos State. So the influx of people from Lagos to Ogun is very high. So that means that it is very possible that Ogun State should have a high number of COVID-19 cases. But for the other state like Kaduna, Katsina, and Kano, from this cluster now, we could deduce that their population too also speaks volume for them, because these other three states, they are highly populated with and some of them they have maybe smaller number of hospitals or labs that could cater for them than all these other states that were clustered together. So next slide. So some of the conclusions that we were able to reach was that though we performed cluster analysis on the COVID-19 data, and we also made the data fair. And we're able to do this based on the training, the first set of training that we received on the from Eric, and the first set of training that VODAN put us through. So that was when this idea started brimming up. So we apply the training to this data set to make it fair. So we now wanted to go ahead and make machine learning machine learning pipeline fair, because we have, from the literature, what we have read is that people propose, but they didn't actually implement because it was difficult to implement, but we were able to do so using the Jupyter notebook. Then we also made our machine learning pipeline. We made it fair using, and also we're able to create a machine readable format out of the pipeline workflow. And when we talked to Eric, he also advised that we should make everything about the pipeline fair. And we were able to achieve this using the Prov notebook to achieve that. So, and we also discussed that the output of the analysis identified 3 clusters. So all the 37 states in Nigeria were put into 3 clusters based on the information we had on the data set, and we're able to gain insight into what could be the state of the COVID-19 in those states. And I'm sure that it could inform the health practitioner and the government or some measures that they can take with the state. And this study is relevant. Maybe some other states, or maybe some of the information on the other states, we discovered that some of them could be underreported, or maybe they didn't give the right information, or maybe they didn't have the right access to information. So now our future direction is that this reproduce me ontology that is very general for experiments, we will try to maybe make a machine learning ontology out of this reproduce me ontology. Next slide. So thank you so much. These are some of the references. Of course, we have so many of them, but these are some of the references, and I could provide more after this time out. Thank you so much. Next slide. So we entertain some questions, and thank you for listening. Ezekiel, do you have anything to add?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sakinat. I think you have done justice to everything. Thank you.
That was really exciting. Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Sakinat and Ezekiel. Great job. Any questions? I think it's just a really good example of where we can go to. Gitu, you've got a question.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
You need to speak to create more sound.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Dr. Sakinat, it was a very interesting presentation, and yeah, it's a new, I think, new field of study, I may say, because I have never seen any machine learning approach on FAIR so far. So yeah, so my question is, so you have verified the ML pipeline, and you have verified the documentation on Jupyter notebook as well. However,
Yes.
have you tried to use directly the verified data for as an input for ML and see the result? Have you ever tried that one as well? And the second question is, why did you prefer R instead of Python? What's the reason behind? I want to know.
Okay. Thank you so much. Actually, our data, the data we use is a fair data. The data is fair because we are it resides in our FDP already, and the data is published in journal and is made accessible to everybody, and is also on the Mendeley repository. And Mendeley now, they have moved their repository to, they have applied FAIR principle to the repository. This data set also have a DOI. Ezekiel, please, can you share the DOI? Have the Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's done already. I've done that already on the chat.
Okay. Yes, the data have GOI already, and it has license and right issue. So the data is fair already. But then analysis, machine learning analysis does not, verification of data does not affect analysis of data, because fair data is still data. So the only thing we did was that we made it accessible, findable, interoperable, and also reusable for every other person to use. So it doesn't affect the analysis. Well, why we chose R was that, initially when we started this work, we didn't know that we could verify the machine learning pipeline. The idea was very AC. We thought it's something that we couldn't achieve. So what we did was that, while we have about 6 authors on the paper, so we distributed the work, and we use we can also use Python also, or Java. They'll still give us the same result, but we just used R, and I think it was Ezekiel that actually implemented R, because he's R Lord. Everything about him is R, so we call him R Lord. So I implemented it in R. We can also do that in Python or Java.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, so I think the problem of R and Python, it's a problem. I don't know who can solve that. So this work actually showcases the glory of R, and we can also, if you want to try Python as well, it will work. In fact, it took us a lot of time to even install that, what do you call it, Data Second, the software we install to make our work, which is also easier in Python.
Yeah, thank you, SG.
Yeah, get to.
Yes.
Hello.
Doug. Hello,
Yes.
Doug. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
So,
your hands were raised. Geto's hand is raised. I thought he has questions to ask.
No, it was the previous one. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, Sakina, that was just really exciting. I'm sure we'll discuss more on it. Given the time, and we are already a little bit over time, if you don't mind, I want to really congratulate you and the team for the work done. And before we finish, give the floor to Samson to update on the technical matters that have been done in the past 2 weeks. Samson, please.
Thank you, Prof. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, Samson.
So let me share my screen. In the meantime, I think Getu can update us on some of the issues that were done as well.
You can share the screen, Samson. Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Getu. So far, what we have done is we try to install the embeddable editor locally. So as we have many discussions with John, we tried to install the editable CEDAR embeddable editor. So what we did is we created OPD register for Ethiopia in the CEDAR template creator. So then we bring the metadata and the template as JSON format and brought them to the local server and put them in the distribution folder. So the approach is that we have the editable editor in local computer, and we have the CEDAR distribution in the server. So both these things should be communicate to each other, because the editables editor should access the templates we created in the CEDAR system. So we put it in a local server, and we try to connect both these systems locally, and we can easily adapt any template that is created using CEDAR. So now Samson will present that, will show us the result. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Gitu. This is the local host that we hosted, where we hosted. This templates created in CEDAR can be exported, and the templates would be placed somewhere here. This is the one for the template, and the other one for metadata. These ones are created on the on CEDAR system. It's possible to deploy the template editor as well, but in discussion with John and the rest of the team, I think the template creation is a one-step process, and it needs to be created on CEDAR. Once the template is created and exported and placed somewhere, for instance, if you have this is a sample template, and the template this is the code that needs to be brought to the local server. For those of you who want to try, you can bring it here, and later on this is the editor. And the editor, it says the OPD register for Ethiopia. You can write the region here, for instance, Tigray, and you can place the facility names, and these are the information that the form that needs to be filled. And while we fill the form, the JSON link data is created automatically, as you can see here, region Tigray, and all the data that's filled comes here. And as most of you recall our architecture, we are trying to implement each component step by step. The other in our last time discussion, we presented about the bulk input aspect of the architecture. This component is a component which tries to collect data through the template and create the JSON link data. And this JSON link data is going to go to the triple store, and from which the fair data point is going to read the data and the metadata. So this is as far as the localization of the embeddable editor is concerned. And going forward, we'll try to see how and discuss and trying to implement the rest of the parts. I think given the fact that the time is also against us, I think I will stop here and receive any questions. Thank you, and over to you, Prof.
That's amazing. Very, very good, Gitu and Samson. Excellent work. Really good. So exciting to see the localization tools actually working and tested even completely offline. We look forward to a more comprehensive presentation of both of you next week. Let me ask if there are any pressing questions now. I think we have done a very good tour of the horizon. We have seen with Professor Sakinat what is ahead of us. So we start to see the visuals and the analytics. We have seen the timeline towards deployment in each of the countries with the presentations of Putu and Alia. And then we see that the localization is realizable with the last presentation here of Gitu and Samson. So just congratulations to everyone for excellent work. Let me just ask for any other business whether there's any further question at this point to Samson and Gitu, or any further remark at this point. Otherwise, we will now close. For the special issue, there needs to be some further progress in the coming days, which we will do, and then we'll report again next week. Friday, there will be the training for all the data stewards. Please make sure to be there. Alia will follow it up. The group that is working with the health facilities and communicating with the health facilities, please make sure to attend the meeting with Putu on Monday. Of course, the architectural technical group meets as usual on Monday late afternoon with John, with CEDAR. And then I'll be seeing everybody back here on Tuesday for a check-in to make sure that we all know where we are heading. So thank you all for your time, for your patience also. Sorry for going over the time, but yeah, we had such excellent presentations. Let me hand over to Professor Francesca and then to Alia to close, to Putu to close. Professor Francesca? I also, actually, before I close, should maybe, because I saw that there was a few other people who joined us for the first time, including Dr. Raji from Nigeria. Would you like to say something to the meeting, Yakubu? Otherwise, we'll introduce again next week, Dr. Sakinat. I'll ask you to do that. So then over to you, Putu, to close the meeting.
Thanks, Professor Miriam. Thanks, everyone. As always, the video recording of the webinar will be available this week in every channel, such as website, Slack, OSF, and WhatsApp group. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next week. And sorry for the overtime. See you for next week in the same webinar. Bye.
Have a nice time.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.